What were the differences in how you were treated, how people kind of saw those two things, and like, was there a distinct change in
I
people,
don't
or
think so. I think that, I mean, if we want to talk about reputation or whatever, right? Like, that's sort of what we're getting at here. Like, I think that my reputation was probably always, even at 16, the first few times I drank, was always, Mamie gets crazy when she drinks, right? But, but I just figured everybody got crazy when they drank. And that, and like, I mean, so my alcoholism and my PTSD were like super married, because that's when I had the freedom to like I also know that genetically I'm predisposed to alcoholism. Like, both my parents didn't drink, but both sets of my grandparents had serious alcoholism. So I know that I was predisposed, and that in general, even if none of this stuff had ever happened to me, that like I would have needed to at some point not be drinking or avoid alcohol. Um, but but yeah, I think it was always coming from the same place here. But when you're young, your body bounces back and your brain bounces back, and that's why people heavily drink when they're in their early 20s, because you bounce back. Well, most people stop doing it because they just don't bounce back the way that they did. And sure, it was probably, I mean, it was always probably the same reputation. Mamie's crazy when she drinks, that then turned into, we don't want to be around Mamie because she drinks too much and she's crazy when she drinks, right? And so there was an alienation that happened for me, that, I had close friends that were telling me it was my drinking, but those were the only moments that I had any joy left in my life, and I couldn't leave it at the time. I wasn't willing to like feel all the bad feelings in order to like get better. Um,
how did you respond to those people when they said that?
Well, for years I was the like self-admitted alcoholic. Like, I'm an alcoholic, but like that like white privilege alcoholic that like can. But I wasn't. I was not a functional alcoholic. Like, it was just a lie I told myself to continue self-medicating. Um, does that answer sort
Yeah.
of what?
Did they did did you start losing the people close to you?
Yeah. I mean, at the end of my time in LA, I had like my boyfriend at the time, who was really on again, off again with me because of my drinking. And part of the condition when we were together was that I wasn't drinking around him. I mean, there were a lot of issues there outside of my drinking, and maybe like one or two other friends, and that I drank with, that probably had problems too. But yeah, I mean, over the last 2 years, over 2 years, that like I haven't been drinking, and I don't necessarily, I mean, I do attribute my personal growth and my emotional progress on my PTSD to not drinking, because it allowed me to do the work. But I also once I stopped drinking, like I never wanted to do it again. So I've certainly gone back. There were a lot of really great friends that I lost over the years that didn't even necessarily tell me that they could, because it was my drinking, but they just slowly stopped picking up the phone, and those are the people that I've gone back and in AA, I guess they would call it making amends, but that's not what the way in which I did it. But they were people that I knew were good ones that I didn't need to lose.
What's the difference in the people that you know now and then?
I have completely honest friendships and like real connections. I mean, I think part of that is also just getting out of your early 20s, and everybody's an acquaintance, and like all of my friendships, we are very self-aware people. We are people that value honesty above all else, that cherish loving kindness. When I'm worried about one of my friends, like, I check in with them. I see them behaving in a way that isn't what I'm used to seeing, ask them what's going on with them, and they do the same for me. They keep me in check. You know. yeah, I'm just really honest and like genuine, and like people that I can be 100% myself around, that I do feel like love me unconditionally, you know, love me for exactly who I am. And that's how we all deserve to live our lives. To be, you know, not everybody has to like everybody, but there are people that will like you if you're 100% you, unless you're a total D-bag, I guess.
We'll take a little break.